Hello and welcome to today's Lol Esports Round Up. We're going to cover the games from this morning in the LCK and LPL, the games from last night in the LCS, the games from this afternoon in the LEC, and then preview tomorrow's schedule, which only includes the LEC Week 3, Day 3 of Spring. I'm going to move this mic. I'm standing a little differently in front of the board, trying to block all the light from the window in hopes that that makes the lighting better. If it doesn't, you're SOL, as am I. Predictions, I'm 286 and 136 on the year. Last night, 100 Thieves would fall to Golden Guardians, 3-2. Golden Guardians come in 9-9. 100 Thieves, 24th in the power rankings at 10-8. Stixay went 19, 11, and 21 for 33% of damage. He was my MVP. Huhi, 3, 11, and 40 alongside him in the support role. Doublelift tried to carry his as hard as he could. 29, 10, 21, 31% of damage for 100 Thieves. A little bit of a top diff in this one, and 2 of the 3 wins for Golden Guardians. I thought Licorice was very good on the Gwen, especially in Game 5, really separating himself from Tenacity and created a big, problem for 100 Thieves. When Golden Guardians were finally able to answer them in team fights, I thought Stixay did a fabulous job on the Zeri. He was my MVP because he really closed it out with that very aggressive play, killing Doublelift in the final fight in topside. I thought that was super aggressive, and in doing so, took out 100 Thieves' best player and strongest champion at the time. I thought Bucio had some good moments. I thought his Thresh one of the games was outstanding. Huhi left a little bit to be desired, but in the end, his KDA was the best one on Golden Guardians. River and Gory, a mixed bag. 100 Thieves, all together. Like I said, I think this was the Doublelift show, and how could we help Doublelift get ahead? And that was the case throughout the split. That's why I said Doublelift was my MVP, because frankly, he was all that made 100 Thieves go. And if you actually think of most valuable player in that context, he was the most valuable player. But Golden Guardians come out ahead. Like I said, Licorice found moments to be impactful. Stixay as well, and Golden Guardians win. There's not much really to say. I know it's a 5-game series, but really, in all honesty, I don't buy into the silver scrape stuff. I do think a team that comes back from 2-1, winning Game 4, has a little momentum going into Game 5, and I think that's a big deal, personally. I think that's a mind game thing. Winning Game 4 when you're down 2-1, I think gives you the advantage going into Game 5 tied 2-2. I know people start playing silver scrapes whenever they go into Game 5, and frankly, I think that what's the word I'm looking for? It devalues what silver scrapes is. At least in my opinion, I view silver scrapes as coming back from a 2-0 deficit and reverse sweeping, or being down 2-0, winning Game 3, winning Game 4, going into Game 5. Now that's very impressive, to be able to come back from a 2-0 to reverse sweep. Down 2-1, I'm not as surprised when you win win Game 5. I understand that when you're down 2-1, I'm sure the team that's up 2-1 has a high win rate, but I doubt it is even close to the win rate of a 2-0 lead. LCK, HLE 17th in the power rankings, would lose to Genji. Genji 6th. Chovy, 3-1, by the way. Chovy, 14, 4, and 22, 33% of damage. Is Ari, Lissandra, and LeBlanc in their 3 wins, I thought was nasty. Pays, 17, 4, and 18, did his job. Viper, 17, 8, and 7, 35% of damage for HLE. Could not close the deal. I thought that at times the bot lane for Genji was the better one. Game 1 especially, I thought Delight had a very clutch Lulu play off the rip. Very first blood, skirmish in the bot lane. That, bailed Pays out, bailed himself out, and allowed them to actually get a kill on the turn. And that changed the complexity of that game. Chovy getting around the rift on Ari and making things happen, along with Peanut. And then in Game 2 on the Lissandra was disgusting. Chovy's Lissandra was very good. Honestly, I thought that was one of his better games of the split, and it wasn't from a carry perspective. It was from a facilitator's perspective. I thought he played, I said outstanding, and outstanding is the word. It was very, very good. HLE did respond in game 3. I thought the bot lane really did some nice things. Viper doing what he had to do. Clid finding good plays. I also think Kingen had some moments in this series where he got the better of Doran. I don't think Doran really stuck out to me today. I think he was definitely the 5th player on Gen G, which happens to be the case most of the time. But in game 4, push comes to shove. Pays did his job at a high level, as did Chovy, and they come out victorious. Zeka, nowhere to be found, in my opinion, in this one. That's just not acceptable out of a player that is held in high regard. I don't know where he was, but Pays showed up for Gen G as a rookie, and that honestly means a lot because T1 are coming off of a 3-2, just barely beating KT, and now have to play Gen G. So that's gonna be interesting. LPL, Anyone's Legend, Thunder Talk, Anyone's Legend 3-12, Thunder Talk 8-7. TT would win 2-0. UCal was my MVP on an Akali in game 1, and what he played in game 2 escapes me, but his Akali was very good in game 1. Wanfeng 16-3 and 9, 29% of damage. Yao Yao 4-3-32 was almost my MVP, but I thought in game 2 he left a little bit on the table in the early to mid game. And by the no puedo hablar. Betty, 8-10-6, 31% of damage. So, Yao Yao. In the early game, he did not do much in game 2. In game 1, I thought his Rakan was very, very good. If I recall correctly, it was a Rakan. I think he might have played Rakan in both games. But in game 2, the game got out of hand before he actually did something. The top side of the rift doing most of the work. Beshwan, very impactful. However, he did die a lot, was probably over-aggressive, disrespecting Anyone's Legend. I thought Pinzi did well. Although he didn't lead in damage, he did some very nice things on the Syndra as he ends out the split, his rookie split, in a bad situation. Anyone's Legend, going into the year, we had them in, the basement, and they finished in the basement. They have some work to do. They have some moves they need to make this team better. And Thunder Talk winning was not a shock. Like I said, UCal thought his Akali was all over the place in game 1 and getting them ahead and was very integral to their success. And then was also impactful in game 2 in a way that Yao Yao wasn't, which was the tiebreaker for me in MVP decision making. Rare Adam and Weibo. Rare Adam 5-10, Weibo 10-5, 8th in the power rankings. Weibo win 2-1, dropped game 1, barely won game 2, and then would win game 3. So Weibo continuing to play like absolute dogs. Light 22-6 and 18, 32% of damage, was MVP. Even in his even in the loss, Light was super good for Weibo in game 1. Xiaohu 28 and 19. Getting around the rift, making things happen. His LeBlanc sticking out to me in game 2 as a very good play alongside Light. And then Assam, 13, 10, and 19, 39% of damage for Rare Adam. Pulled out the Twitch in game 2, which was interesting. By the way, we did have a Pantheon for Gen G in their loss out of Delight. Just making note of weird picks. But back to the Twitch. Assam and Southwind actually really kept up with Light and Crisp in lane, but when it got to the mid to late game, they had no answer. Rare Adam had no answer. Layan had I think a triple kill at one point in their win, or maybe it was game 2. Either way, there was a bright spot for them, but otherwise, like I said, Weibo played like dogs, but did anybody really think Rare Adam had a chance in this one? I didn't. I thought Weibo were just a better team. The Shy continues to int and look awful, which is really, really disappointing given his stature in the community. And just as a player, you'd think he would do more, and he's really not. And he's kind of dragging the team down, in my opinion, like an anchor. He is their worst player right now. I thought Karsa did some nice things in all 3 games as well. I think even in their loss, he may have stolen objective. So with that in mind, honestly, I think that Weibo are where they are despite the Shy and not really with the Shy. LEC, Excel and Astralis. Excel 2-5, Astralis 4-3, 21st. Excel win 1-1-3 was my MVP on a Viego. He was all over the place and doing very well, not only with Viego, but also with the champions he would steal. Leader 624 on Aurelia, 32% of damage. Kabe went deathless, 206. Patrick in the loss went 1, 3, and 4, 26% of damage. Astralis just got after XL early and didn't look back. Otawamne did have a nice double kill at one point. No, it was Abadage. The Jace. It's a Jace, that's why I swapped him. Abadage had a nice play in bot lane at one point on the Jace, getting a double, maybe even a triple kill. But otherwise, Astralis were just the better team. Leader making things happen. Leader did, but 1-1-3 really making things happen. Finn, I think he outplayed a 2v1 and got a... He may have only traded, but regardless, he outplayed a 2v1 in top lane, and that stood out to me, as Otawamne left a little bit to be desired there, as did Xerxes. XL continue to fall off the wagon here, as their split falls apart. We'll see how they do in summer. SK and Mad Lions. SK 14th in the power rankings would fall to the Mad Lions. Elyoya was MVP on a Lee Sin. Karzi, 9, 3, and 10, 39% of damage, was a monster on the Xayah, but I did believe Elyoya had a little bit more to do with how they got their gold lead in the first place and got ahead. And with that in mind, I got to hand it to Elyoya. Niski, 2-1-14 on Alessandra. Exakick for SK went 6-2-3, 34% of damage. Exakick continued to be outstanding, one of the best rookies, not only LEC, but also in the world. I think he's doing a fabulous job in his first year. But, like I said, Elyoya I thought was integral to how Mad Lions got their lead in the first place. Karzi, I mean, everybody kind of participating, but Elyoya involved in all lanes, right? So he's the one that got them ahead. He's the one that put them in a position to allow Karzi to do what he had to do, and I think that's arguably more important than actually finishing the deal with a big gold lead. SK, the early to mid game were able to just slightly keep up, but in the end they didn't have anything. Certus playing one of his meh games, as did Irrelevant. Marcoon, even the bot lane, Exakick has a nice KDA, and I thought he played well at times, but other times, there was a bit of a diffy down there, which is unfortunate. BDS and Koi. BDS 20th in the power rankings at 5-2 would beat Koi, who are 23rd. Back and forth, nobody wanted to win this game. This was an ugly one. Usually BDS lose the ugly one, so for this to happen was a surprise. Nuke was my MVP. Crowny went 8-1-11, 36% of damage. Sheo 2-1-14 in the jungle. Larson went 4-3-2 on a Corki with 43% of Koi's damage. Back and forth, nobody wanted to win. BDS got Soul. They threw attempting to take and backdoor the Nexus of Koi. And in doing so, they lose Baron. They might have even lost Elder at one point. And it goes back and forth, but BDS finally were able to choke them out because they had taken so much of Koi's base. They did have Soul, and all these things do add up. If you don't get the job done with the Baron, that directly results from defending your base, you are going to have a tough time trying to end. Just a very sloppy game out of both sides. And I'm not surprised when BDS plays that way, but for Koi to do that, I would like more out of Koi. Like I said, they're the team, along with Mad Lions, they're the teams that kind of gatekeep. If you don't play your best, you're going to lose to them. And I would like to think that they would have been able to pull that one out, but they just fell short. And in the end, they're in some trouble here. They're 4-4 now. BDS 6-2. Actually, BDS are first in the LEC, which is a shocker to me. Nuke was MVP because in the end, he played a really key role in them ending. A lot of people picking at him. He had a nice Malphite triple kill, but the game went back and forth after that, so it was pretty much washed out in my opinion. So Nuke was MVP. Vitality and Heretics. Vitality 13th at 4-3. Heretics 2-5. Vitality would win an ugly one as well. Vitality getting Soul, but really struggling to end as Photon was eaten alive by Eevee. Not only that, Evie. Evie also somehow getting all the kills for Heretics, which is a very unfortunate situation because he cannot carry worth a crap. Upset 11-1-6, talking about a carry, was MVP for 35% of damage. Kept Vitality in this one kill-wise, really helped them secure objectives, and when a Zeri is that fed, it is very hard to beat it, especially one of Upset's caliber. Kaiser would go Deathless on Lulu, 0018. Ruby, 247, 34% of damage on the LeBlanc. I would argue that if Evi's kills were onto Ruby, despite the community's disdain for Ruby, he'd probably do a better job, and they'd probably win this one, honestly. Because frankly, Evi has not been able to do much of anything this split, and when you go 8-1 to start a game, you really need to do something with that, and he didn't. He simply didn't. Vitality, they find a way. Upset finds a way, pretty much, and it's such an ugly game. Just not good. It's not good from either side. You expect more out of Vitality, but at the same time, Vitality are just running back Winter, in my opinion, now. So maybe I shouldn't expect anything more out of them. Fnatic and G2. Fnatic 3 and 4 would upset G2. Well, it's not really that much of an upset anymore. Fnatic are decent this split. G2 9th in the power rankings would lose. Oscarinin was my MVP. Oscarinin once again having a monster performance, this time on a Jackson top lane. Reckless 7-2-10, 32% of damage on Sivir. Advian 1-2-14 on Rakan for the support role. Advian and Oscarinin once again coming through clutch for Fnatic. They are not on stage. I did say this yesterday. I will say it again. I am curious if Oscarinin just isn't a stage player, which would be very bad. But at the same time, 2 games are off stage. Oscarinin doing a great job, and it's not against bad teams. Beating G2 today is something significant. Hans Sama went 5-4-4, 31% of damage for G2. Razork playing a very key role in this one, stealing objectives, stealing a Baron when Fnatic really inted their faces off. They were ending the game really well. They got over-aggressive and overextended, really trying to end the game, exposed the Nexus, came close, could not do it, attempted double TP and fail that, which allows G2 to set up for Baron. They start taking it, and then Razork steals it, which was huge, allowing themselves an opportunity to end. At that point, it was very clear that this was a game where G2 was going to steal one from Fnatic, who were going to prove that they are still, in a pickle, but Razork came through clutch, and like we've said all along, G2 are already locked for MSI, so really how much do they care? They want championship points, but they are locking up some just by their record already. Sneak peek for tomorrow, BDS and XL. BDS 6-2, XL 2-6. In week 1, XL would win against BDS in a ugly game that even I can remember because nobody won, including the fans. It was a trash game. Patrick had the most damage for XL, going 3-6-7, 35%. Crownie in the loss went 7-1-6 with also 35% of damage. Astralis 21st in the power rankings at 5-3 against Fnatic, who are 4-4. Last split, Astralis would beat Fnatic. Finn went 3-0-7 on a Gnar with 32% of damage in top lane. Oscarinin obviously replacing Wonder, so that will be a new matchup tomorrow. Heretics and SK. Heretics 2-6, SK 4-4, 14th in the power rankings. They played in winter groups. SK would win 2-0 against Heretics. Marcoon was the MVP of that series in the jungle, going 4-1-13 with 11% of damage. Yankos in the loss went 1-5-5 with 14% of damage. Mad Lions and G2, Mad 3-5, G2 5-3, 9th in the power rankings. This was your winter finals, where G2 would 3-0 Mad Lions. Hansama went 20 kills, 3 deaths, 27 assists for MVP with 26% of G2's damage. Karzi really struggled, going 3-14-6 for 20% of damage. And to finish off, spring split, Koi against Vitality. Koi 23rd, Vitality 13th in the power rankings. Last time they played was in groups, where Koi would win 2-0. Malring was the MVP, going 9-6-17, 15% of damage. Bo in the loss went 3-10-7 with 16% of damage. So that is the final day of the LEC split. Just to keep a heads up for those that really, listen to all of this content, I am possibly going to have to change some stuff up with the channel. There will be a video probably coming out on Tuesday because there are no games to go over. that will address this. I have made videos like this in the past where I kind of address the state of the channel, give you guys an update, be transparent with you, and I think that might come on Tuesday. Or, honestly, it might have to come tomorrow. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of question marks with the channel going forward. My goal is to continue to do daily content. I just don't know how that's going to go. So we're going to attack that this week. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.